Today on Smackey's Garage, we're going to be talking about interior panels, such as this one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look inside the car. We're going to look at what panels are original, which ones are reproduction, what fits, what doesn't, and we're going to take a look at some tips and tricks on putting some of the rear seat together. So let's go ahead and look at the interior of the car. You know, as I was going through and making this video, you can pretty much sum this entire video up pretty easily. You know, when you look for parts, there's nothing better than OEM if you can find them. I'm going to show you some little bit of details on parts that I have that I'm looking at replacing, but if you have an opportunity to get some of the OEM parts, not even new old stock parts, but even parts that are original, maybe they've been damaged, there's a good chance that you can fix them. So this part here, one of the inner panels on the driver's side, is original to the car. So if you turn it over, you will find the original part number to it. So you can see down here, it does have a C9Z, so it is a 69 part number. So original part that's been repaired multiple times. Now looking at it, you can definitely see that it's been painted a few times. Overall, it doesn't look too bad. There's no major cracks or anything in it, but there are definitely some places where you can see, if you're really looking for it, some work has been done. You know, have this piece is still here, which is kind of rare on these. The seat has been taken off some of the paint there. It's not visible in the car, but you do notice it. But if I look at it, like overall, you know, there's a little bit of scraping there, so that's something that happened over the years. But overall, it's in decent condition for what it is. Now, flipping it over, one of the things that you can see is it's actually been repaired quite a few times. So it looks like fiberglass work up here. So this has been strengthened. And then there's some more resin or something down here, probably to strengthen this area. But when you're looking for parts, there's nothing better than using something original like this. So when using parts like this, even if they're broken, you can still fix them. You can still make them work in your car and make them look good. Now in the car, you can see that we did take it apart last video when we were doing the taillights, and we're going to talk about which is original, which is not, kind of what's been my experience with the fit on the parts. Now, as we walk our way around, we have this panel here, which is essentially the lower quarter. You do have that upper quarter.
In that spot on the back, that's where the hockey stick pieces go, essentially shaped like a hockey stick, so they go from there, back, and up.
You have the trapdoor, which is metal. You have the same on this side, and then you have this quarter, which I don't have in the car right now. This is a fold-down seat car, so with the fold-down seat, this piece right here, the seat back goes against it, so you still don't have, and it folds down, and we'll take a look at that as well. Underneath that, you have brackets, so this bracket here holds in the lower seat, and then you have, essentially, I think these are the brackets for holding the exhaust pipes up into place. And then you have where the seat belts go. So there's one there, one where that ground is, and there's one more over there. Now looking at how these panels attach, bolts that go down here, and then you're going to have self-tapping screws that are going to go in the side panel here, and then a few up in these locations here. These two panels do overlap and they do get bolted into place. Now these, I don't know if you can still buy these or else you have to find them original from like a junkyard or a salvager, but these essentially are what the panels do screw to. Now in my car, essentially most of the stuff back here is original. So when we're looking at panels, you know, all these hockey sticks, these do have original part numbers on them. These are original, the trap door is original. That panel up top is not. And then both of these sides here are original. These panels are not. Now, one challenge of getting panels that maybe aren't original to the car is just by looking at how everything does screw into the side panels, it does look like they were screwed in uniquely to whatever panel was in the car. So there might be some work you need to do to get it to fit correctly. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Now, if you were to go ahead and screw this panel in and you take a look here, you can see that this screw hole is pretty much right at the edge. And that one's centered almost. That one I can't see. But what looks to be the case is potentially they put the panels in place and they maybe drilled them while they were sitting in place. So with this was drilled for a panel that was original to the car, so it might be a little bit more difficult to put together, or you might have to drill through it. I guess one of the ideal ways to do it would be to actually take this apart and then weld this closed, this hole, and then re-drill it for whatever panels you're using. But on the fold down seat, you know, this is all original, this is all original. This trim here around the seat is not original. If I were to do it again, and I do actually still have the original trim for it, I would not buy aftermarket trim just because it really doesn't fit well. Now, the trapdoor here, this is original to the car, so you can see I actually don't have the bumpers in it, so I do have some weather stripping there to hold it in place, but this essentially folds out. You know, this is metal. I've seen the plastic ones. I do have a fiberglass one that I will show you in a second that I got to do the stereo system that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with. Now this, I can't find the part number on it, but it is original to the car. Not really rusted. You can see down in there. There is some, but I was able to, I think, sandblast this and clean a lot of it up. For the trapdoor, you know, the one that's in there right now is a metal. And if you have the option to get a new one or you need to replace yours, go with a metal one. Don't go with the plastic one. So here's the one that I bought to do the rear speakers in the car. So we've been talking about doing that this year and this winter before I get the car back on the road. And one of the things you notice is, you know, this weighs like 2 pounds, if that. And it's vibrating some. Definitely go with the metal one over the plastic one, just because, I mean, the plastic and the fiberglass ones, you know, it'll probably be okay, but this one's gonna vibrate a lot. I might actually start thinking about how do I build my own trapdoor for this, or try to find another one that I can use versus try to use this piece of fiberglass. But when we look at the fold down seat, essentially this does fold down. Oh, it's heavy. You can tell it's original. Drop it, it goes into place. So these two panels are pretty much hinged. This panel back here, you can see just bolts down. It's not part of these two, but I gotta bolt this back down as I'm putting the car back together. And then you can see there's latches on either side of the car. So there's one latch up here, which I do have an original one in there, and then there's another latch up there that connect into this. So there's gonna be a latch right there. All right, now talk about another panel. So this panel back here, panel back here is such a pain to get in. You know, if I were to do it again, and I probably will take it apart and do it again, you can see it's not really held in that well. So the way that it's held in is there's essentially pins on the back of the panel that get pushed in, and then there are brackets that are screwed into the chassis of the car back there. I'll see if I can try to get it out so we can take a look at it, but they're almost impossible to get in and keep in long term, and especially trying to get it to sit in there without dropping them down kind of behind the seat. So what I'd recommend doing, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use double-sided Velcro tape there just on the back side to hold it in place, because it'll be a much better fit. And as you saw here when I was pulling this out, you know, it's already lost the panels where it's, the places where it's supposed to connect. Okay, so I was able to get the panel out, and okay, so here it is. You can see that the clips, so that's what you're essentially screwing into. It's those little black clips there. And you can see that these pieces here, essentially just pulled out of the back of the panel where they're supposed to be just kind of sitting in place. So it's not a great way to do it, so I'm going to have to fashion something else. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm actually going to use double-sided Velcro in here. I think I'm going to take these clips. Actually, here's one sitting over here, so this one did rattle out. So I'm going to take these clips and I'm going to essentially, I don't know, maybe I'll make new ones, push them in place, then use double-sided Velcro and just Velcro it up and into place. So some strong Velcro. That's going to be the best way to do it. If you do have to buy one of these and you do it again, just don't use these clips. You can if you really want to, but I would not. Now, also, screws down here is going to hold it in. There's a screw over here that's going to hold it in. So really what those are doing, it's just more holding it in place against the back. And you can see out of all these, that one's missing, that one's missing, that one fell out, that one's missing. So that's 3, 4 that were not correctly connected. And then when I went to pull these out, these didn't come out with the panel. Now, if you're working in the rear of a 1969 Mustang Fastback, those are some of the things that I take into consideration when you're putting your own car together. After doing this a few times, figuring out what parts fit, what parts don't, I hope you take some of the tips that I have and you put it towards your own build. Thanks for tuning in this week on Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.